Welcome back to Retro Spectrum, the podcast where we pick a random artist off the top of our head with little to no planning, listen to all their albums, and then talk about it.
Speak for yourself.
I always do. This week we are taking a long trip down the Autobahn
Ooh,
and listening to the mini albums of the German artist Kraftwerk.
fun, fun, fun. I loved this episode. This is actually one of my favorite episodes so far, period.
Yeah, these guys are going to be a mainstay, I think, in my listening rotation. Really interesting characters in the band, really interesting music, and pretty much a fun ride from top to bottom.
I also thought it was cool to learn that the name Kraftwerk means power plant. And they were kind of fooling with the German stereotypes, meshed with the technology and the power plant. It's just a fun little theme. And I also thought it was cool how they had neon signs. I don't think we mentioned this in the episode, but they each had a neon sign that was their name. And I was like, I feel like we need those for the podcast.
For our audio podcast.
Yes. So if anyone wants to send us neon signs, if there's a neon sign artist out there that would like to send us a neon signs of our name, feel free, and then you can imagine them in the background as you're listening to the episode.
Yeah, that's Theater of the Mind.
Sounds fun to me.
Fun, fun, fun.
On the Autobahn, so let's go!
Vroom.
Kraftwerk. Ooh, shit!
Got the Patti Smith edition of Harper's Bazaar from December 2022. Oh, there was a whole
Oh, it
stack
didn't
of
just
them.
come out?
No, it's old.
Well, a lot of shit about her is coming out right now because it's the something anniversary of Horses.
50th, I think. And she just released a new book, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. I need to read that then. She's so fucking awesome.
I haven't read that article in there. We had a whole stack of them, and it was like, we were moving and got rid of a bunch of them. But I was like, we got to keep the Patti Smith one. I feel like
This is a keeper. Yeah.
yeah. Do I
cool.
need it? No, but
Does anyone really need anything?
I'm already a person that like has too many things, and then this podcast is like anything related to any of the bands that we've done.
It's just the perfect
gravitate
excuse.
towards, and it's like now I have a bunch of Patti Smith crap and a bunch of Spice Girls stuff, and more things that I didn't necessarily need.
And shit that you would have never had before.
Yeah. Although some of that's good. Some of that, most of it
great.
has been a positive.
I'm very jazzed about this podcast.
And it's fun to have stuff that even if I didn't like it, it's still like a little trophy.
Totally.
Just kind of how I view the Spice Girls albums that I own.
Well, yeah, it's like I've listened to all of this.
I know who this is. I know about this.
Intimately.
Do I enjoy it? Not necessarily.
But I fucking know what it is.
Know about it.
And we could have conversations about a lot of different people about a lot of different things at this point,
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the coolest things about aging is you collect so much information about so many different things, especially if you're a type of person like us. So it's just fun to just have a bunch of fun facts at the ready at all times.
An information hoarder.
I gotta say, I'm really glad we did Kraftwerk.
I am too. This was almost every corner was a surprise to me from the immediate like get go. It was like, oh,
yeah,
this, even having been the person that picked it, this was not what I expected.
Same.
Which means I don't think I ever have heard a single Kraftwerk song before doing this. I think the only thing that was familiar was their like visuals and imagery and stuff.
It's weird because I felt like I knew some of their songs, and I did know like 2 of their songs. But it wasn't what they are, was definitely not the idea that I had of them. Were you inspired by Music League?
No, they have been on my list since almost the beginning. They were one of the first like original bands that went on my list.
Interesting, really?
Yeah.
Just because you knew the imagery and...
Yeah, they're one of the bands that's like a signifier of an entire genre. Like the genre of krautrock is something that I've always heard, and I've always heard the name Kraftwerk, and I've just never, like, I knew that it was electronic or whatever, but I'd never went down the path to listen to them. And so that's when I was making the list, I was trying to think of like what are bands that feel representative of entire genres or like new genres or were like innovators or are like a reference point for a lot of bands. And Kraftwerk is always comes up under that. They're seen as an influence or like created a whole new genre or whatever. And they had already been on the list because of that. Like that's why I was curious about them. That's why I wanted to listen to them to begin with. Yeah. Because I had always heard the term krautrock, but didn't really know what that entailed.
So, do you want to talk about anything before we get into this? Like,
Yeah.
got any stories? Okay.
I almost I when I called you earlier, it's a good thing you didn't answer because I was going to cancel doing this today
Oh
because
shit.
between when I talked to you the first time and when I called you the second time. So I told you we were going to buy furniture
Mm-hmm.
for the new house. We had to rent a U-Haul because I drive a small car and I bought some big like dressers and stuff. And so as we're out 45 minutes out of the city, like small town, bought some cool furniture from a dude that has it in a trailer like out in the country.
Yeah.
But the town we were in had one U-Haul rental place that had a total of 3 trucks, one of which was available. And so we got a giant truck to move like 2 pieces of furniture. It was overkill for sure. But whatever. We got the truck, loaded up the
It
stuff,
almost
drove.
makes you want your own truck, you know?
Well, I have like my brother has one, my dad has one, but we were already out there and I was kind of like, I'd rather just rent it and move it than have to
Get it
sit
over
here and
with.
wait an hour and,
Totally.
get somebody else involved in the process, which
Totally.
I try to cash those in as
Yeah.
needed.
You
If
got to
there's
save them
if
up.
yes, if I need it, I'll use
Mm-hmm.
it. But if there's anything else we can do, I'd rather do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we loaded everything up, got back to the city, and all that was fine. We also went and like unloaded storage. Like since we had the truck, went and unloaded storage. So we kind of had a couple of errands to run since we had this truck.
Smart.
Brought it back to the house, unloaded everything, got it in the house, and it's like, all right, let's go return this thing so we can be done with this and come back and live our lives. And so I took it to the return place, which was it was a liquidation place. Like I went in to take the key in, and it's a place that looks like they get like Amazon return packages. It was a bunch of like mystery boxes, just like you
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what you were buying, and you could buy these. I don't know, who knows how they procured all of these items, but
Well, I can give you a hint because the USPS, anything that they don't deliver that gets supposedly lost in the mail, they sell in bulk on the fucking internet on a government goddamn website.
yes.
It's so atrocious.
So I'm sure it was that stuff, which really struck a chord with me. Like I want to go under better circumstances back. I was saying it'd be fun to like take $50 and go buy
A bunch
whatever
of mystery
packages and
bags.
then come
Hmm.
back and see like who got the best stuff.
I gotta say, there's some ugly shit in there. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's mostly garbage.
Yeah.
But I was in a hurry. I was trying to get this stuff done or whatever. And I take the key in and the guy's like, dude, use the app. Like we're just let people pick up and drop off keys here. Like I'm not going to check you in. I was like, all right, fine. So I download the app, which, okay, so the guy that I rented it from, we're in small town Oklahoma, he's a Vietnam veteran, just an old guy. And I kind of chatted with him. And there's a version of me that is just a good old boy, lives in the country, and so I got to kind of use my country boy persona that doesn't make as many appearances. Just was chatting with this guy and I was like, it's nice to have this experience one-on-one with a human. I didn't do it all online. I went into an office and talked to a guy and it was like an old school transaction. And then I got back up here and the guy was like, why are you talking to me? Use the app. Don't talk to. And I was like, all right. So I downloaded the app, went to check it in, like it's fine. But on the app, you have to take a picture of your miles and your how much gas is in the tank and all that stuff. And so I went back out to the truck, got in the truck, took all the pictures inside of the odometer and mileage and stuff. Then it goes to like the damage, you have to take pictures of it to prove that it's not damaged or whatever. So I get out of the car, get my phone, go to take pictures of the outside of the truck, shut the door, immediately realize I left the key in the ignition and the door is locked.
Shit.
So I have locked myself at the return of the U-Haul place, locked myself out of the U-Haul. And so they had roadside assistance, but that was like $200. And I was like, I will die before I will pay $200
Yeah.
for them to
No
come
shit.
unlock their own truck. And the guy, of course, he can't do anything about it. He wasn't that interested in helping me to begin with. And there's nothing he can do about it at this point. So I just called a random locksmith and they came out and they did it for about half as much. But I'm just considering that the dumbass tax. But I had to stand in this parking lot for, 45 minutes or whatever and wait for the locksmith to come unlock it, hand me the key so I could take the key and put it 10 feet away into the drop box and be done with this whole thing. And I was so furious with myself for the, you know what I mean? It's like a 1 second difference of if I just would have remembered, would have saved me an hour and $100. And
Why the fuck is the shit locking with the key in the ignition anyway?
It was an old truck. It had
Ah,
manual everything, no power locks or power anything. It was just, which is part of why I didn't think to check, because my key, I don't ever use it in the, mine's a keyless or whatever.
it's all this smart shit is making us
Yes,
dumb.
yes, it did.
God,
It has made me a worse God, but yeah.
I hate
So
that. And I hate the app kid that was just like, just use the app. Fuck you, man.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't push a button or something,
Yes,
have
I
a
was like, I know
conversation
you
with
have a
me, you
thing to
fucking
log in.
asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
I was pissed at him. I was mad at him by association because I was really mad at myself for locking it in
But also,
the
he was a
car.
dick
But
first.
but if he would have just taken the key, I wouldn't have had to go. So when I called
Uh-huh.
you, I was in the parking lot and I was gonna be like,
And you're pissed.
yes, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm
Yeah, that's
doing
fucking
the
harsh.
podcast today because I'm not gonna be in the mood.
Yeah, no, that's harsh. I'm surprised you got your shit back
It's
together.
fine. Like we got back to the house and we got everything situated, and I also hadn't eaten, so I was getting a little hangry too, and so I got some food, and
That makes a huge fucking difference.
yeah, it all worked out. But man, I was ready to explode.
Yeah, I bet, dude. That is just so I would have been in the same. You recovered really well. I'm impressed by your attitude right
You
now.
weren't you weren't there in the
Oh, but
parking
your
lot with
attitude
me.
right now, I would still be pissed probably if it were me. It's really, really hard for me to shake shit off, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's all's well that ends well, and
I feel like you're growing up. Life, man. Life be lifing.
it do be. But now I'm here. I'm half a Monster Energy in. I'm having a great time. Can't wait to talk
See, that
about
would make me even
Kraftwerk.
more aggressively pissed, probably.
Hey, we'll see.
Some of Kraftwerk's music kind of irritated me. I will say there was some parts of some songs that were really hard for me to listen to.
I am trying to channel my inner robot and detach myself from
Radioactivity.
my irrational anger from earlier. So I'm leaning into the man machine aspect.
Yeah, it has to be like a very delicate balance because you don't want to be so robot that you tell the person to use an app instead of having a conversation.
Right.
But you don't want to let your emotions control you either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel that. It's a constant battle for me as well.
You got anything going on outside of craft work?
No, when we get off here, I'm gonna be working on some solar shit.
Oh, cool. I was talking to somebody about that. They were talking about putting it on their house, and I was like, "You can talk to Holly. You're the pro."
Yeah. House is just a little bit different because of the what you have to connect it to, unless you do it separately from the grid, which is totally an option. Electricity is pretty complex as far as I can tell. Like it's really fucking irritating. Electricity is something that is one of the things that I just desperately want to understand and cannot make my brain comprehend electricity. And it's so frustrating to me because I work with it so much. And I feel like it's very important for safety purposes to like actually know. Like it would be really helpful, I feel like, to actually fucking understand it. But unfortunately, I do not. And I try really hard to all the time. I mean, I read shit about electricity all the fucking time. And it's like, might as well be another language, you know?
The line between electricity and magic is so thin to
I
me.
know,
It's
exactly.
like I know that there's a way to explain how it all works, and I know it is like a measurable thing that is like people can control and make do what they want, but like also at the same time, it is kind of magic.
Well, yeah, and at this, like, it pretty much is magic because the people who supposedly know how it works or whatever don't explain it well enough to for normal people to comprehend. So it's like it might as well fucking be magic. And the words they use for it, like you said, it's measurable. Yeah, but they measure it in so many different fucking units, which is one of the main things that confuses me about electricity because there's like amps, watts, volts, ohms. There's all these different fucking and it's like, what the fuck are these words? Like, why can't you just pick one word and stick with it? Or alternating versus direct current type of energy? Like, I can get down with that. Like, I can wrap my mind around that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It seems like there's got to be a way to make this to simplify this shit. But I really badly need to take a class. Me and my dad have been talking about taking a fucking electrician class at the Votech.
Yeah, that's how you would learn. It is
Right.
learnable. You just have to have somebody teach you.
The classes were either far away distance or far away time. So one of these days. But I know enough to know what to do. That's what I know the correct steps to accomplish what I need to accomplish. I just don't understand it. And I don't know that I'm not sure if a course would help me. I think it would depend on the teacher. And the old men around here don't necessarily often explain things super well. What else have I done? I went to a powwow. I went to a karaoke birthday party where I probably pissed off some conservative parents that were there. But have you ever been to Truck Yard?
No.
It's sort of like a food truck. They even have a tree house. It's like a lot with a tree and a bunch of food trucks around it and a bar. And it's like, it's called Truck Yard. So it's kind of Texas-y, but
Yeah.
like sort of slightly hipstery, but country hipster. I don't know. It's weird. There's an Airstream in there that you can rent out to
A lot of
karaoke.
stars made of sheet metal.
Exactly. There's a lot of
Yeah,
sheet metal. There's a
I
lot of
can
metal
see, I can
signs,
see,
road
yeah, I
signs,
can
a
see
lot of
exactly
neon
what it looks
signs.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Light, like old school light. But yeah, the bathroom was really atrocious. They changed the bathroom since the last time I was there, and now it's so fucking offensive. I walked in this bathroom. First of all, everything's pink. There's like little chandeliers with pink flamingos all over them. Like it really weirdly. It was like the chandeliers were crystal, but then they hung like lawn flamingos on it, like trashing up the fucking, I don't know. It was a very specific brand of
Yeah, it's like
gross.
trailer park chic.
Yeah, but it wasn't chic. They weren't doing it right, you know? Like, so it was just totally two styles that didn't mesh together, that they just crammed together. And everything was pink. And then all the stall doors had massive photos of fucking, the whole stall door was, each one was like a different hot guy actor. We got Brad Pitt. We got fucking, I don't know hot guy actors. Ryan Gosling. All the guys that are in all the shit, they were on these goddamn stall doors, right? And so as soon as I walked in, I was like, ah! And then I fucking got into a stall. On the inside of the stall doors, it's all a million pictures of like shirtless firemen holding kittens and shit like that. Like, I was just like, what? Do they want you to fucking jerk off in here? Like, it was so fucking weird, dude. And then I made the mistake of looking up, and they have fucking Buffalo Bill coming out of the ceiling with a goddamn basket lowering down from the ceiling.
That is,
I'm not fucking kidding.
there's a lot going on
I
there.
was like, what the fuck is going on in here? And then I turn around to leave, right? And the whole time, you know me, I can't shut the fuck up. So the whole time I was like, what is happening in this bathroom? I was saying all this shit out loud. All the thoughts that I was having, I was saying fucking out loud. Everything that I just said to you, I was saying fucking out loud. What the fuck is this? Like all this weird shit. What the fuck is this? And so there's other girls in the stalls listening to me have a goddamn meltdown and hear about this. And they're kind of making comments to the girl next to me was right below Buffalo Bill. And I was like, do not look up. And she made the mistake of looking up because she was like, ah, like I heard her, you know, it was horrific, bro. And so I went out to like leave or whatever. And the goddamn door to the bathroom inside had a picture of like a fucking blonde, fucking, I don't know, Christian cowgirl looking girl image. And it said, oh my God, it was so offensive. I have to look at I took a photo of it so I wouldn't forget because it was so horrific. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? Oh my God.
All of that kind of tracks minus Buffalo Bill. That part is
The
inexplicable.
whole thing was fucking insane. I couldn't comprehend it. As a matter of fact, here, I'll let you see.
It looks like your friend that had whose mom like cut hair in the back of the house, like how they decorated the extra room in the
Yes.
back of the house where you get
Yes.
your hair cut.
Oh my God. You
That's the decor.
fucking nailed that
Yeah.
so hard. Oh my God. But let me find okay, here's fucking Buffalo Bill
Yeah, that's wild.
above a fucking stall, dude. And that was right after I noticed the
Is that
fireman.
basket is it like an actual
Yeah,
basket
it's an
hanging
actual
from
basket fucking
what?
hanging from the ceiling. See those ugly ass flamingos? Like it's horrific. And then look at that. Look at that. You see that?
What does it
It's
say?
it says hide your crazy and start acting like a lady. I was like, go fuck yourself. I was losing my goddamn mind in this fucking bathroom, dude. I lost my shit. And then I went out and did karaoke with my friend's mom. She was like, the only song I'll do is Rapper's Delight. I was like, I know every fucking word of that 14-minute song. I'll do it with you. They did the short version, which is 7 minutes, which is still too goddamn long for a
Yeah, for a
karaoke song.
karaoke, for
And
sure.
there's no room for breathing in that song. It's constant speaking. I don't know if you know the lyrics, but we get to a part. I know all the lyrics, but I wasn't thinking ahead to the future lyrics, right? So I'm just saying the lyrics as they're coming up on the screen. It gets to the part where it's like, guess what? America, we love you because you rock and you roll with so much so you're gonna rock till you're 101 years old. When I got to that part, I like glitched out and started cussing. Like, I was like, fuck America, you stole our land, you stole our money, fuck capitalism. I like had a goddamn meltdown. The poor woman was just kept rapping through my like meltdown because we were doing it together, you know? and she's got her parents, her husband's parents, and they're conservative. And I was like losing my goddamn mind. And I just glitched out for a second and was screaming on the mic, cussing everyone out. And then I like glitched back into reality and was like, oh, sorry guys, sorry. And then like kept going. But it was quite the moment. And I was like, okay, whoops, Holly. I cannot be in public. Straight up. That was a little bit too much, if you ask me. When I watched the video later, though, I was like, wow, Holly, a little aggressive. Like,
Coming in a little hot.
that was a little aggressive. I didn't plan for it. It just came out of me. It was after the bathroom incident, so I kind of blame that partially. But also, it was the appropriate amount of rage for reality.
Well, so how many more months before you go out in public again?
6 or so, probably.
Well, how are we getting from the bathroom to Kraftwerk?
Neon lights. I was like really raring to go on Kraftwerk, and then
I'm on the opposite end of the roller coaster. I was at like a 15 out of 10 earlier, and
now you're coming down.
I've mellowed. Yeah, I'm not crashing, but I'm definitely on the other side of a big emotion.
Oh, one other thing opening that I wanted to talk about before we get into Kraftwerk was, have you listened to the new Mountain Goats album yet?
Nope.
It's really good.
And I don't know that I've listened to the last 3 things. I'm sure it is.
I haven't listened to the last however many either.
They are a band for me that was like, I usually make it through at least one listen of each new album, but I kind of feel like I got what I needed from that band when I needed it, and I don't know that I am in a place where like I connect with it as much. I also think that the music has become a little bit not just sound wise, but like over intellectualized or over conceptual in a way that is not necessarily, it just doesn't click with me as much as
Not
it
as fun.
used to. I like it. I fully support them. I'll still see them when they come through town and all that stuff. But like they also release so much music that I'm not like itching for a new one yet. Like I'm still living with like the one that was released 3 or 4 albums ago and don't feel like I've gotten enough from it to like want a new thing. So they
Yeah.
kind of have oversaturated me a little bit. So I don't really keep up with them as much as I used to.
I feel like they're not as like, I don't know if energetic is the word these days. They're a little more mellow.
Yeah.
And so that's can be a little bit less exciting too. I don't know which last album I had heard of theirs until this one. Like I haven't kept up at all really, but this one was advertised to me on the front page of, whatever. So, of the evils. But I thought that the first song on the new Mountain Goats album, which is an instrumental, I thought it was very Kraftwerk vibes.
Does he play synthesizers on it?
I think it was more of like the first albums. I don't remember now that you mentioned that, but probably more of the first Kraftwerk albums where they had instrumental, magical, naturey. So, like when you said that thing about Chibo Motto.
You mean a flute?
Yeah, well, there's a few different things happening. One guy was playing organ, I think. And is there some strings happening in it too?
Yeah, I think there's violin and guitar.
Yes,
and organ. And
guitar. I don't think guitar came into the second one, but I could be wrong about that.
And actual live drums rather than drum machines.
Yes, and when you said that thing in the last episode, the Chibo Motto episode about they sounded like, what did you say, like nature being born or something?
Oh, after Slayer, it was nature healing itself.
Yeah.
Which I still think I still have an image of like Slayer destroying the world and then like everything's burned and broken and like hell on earth and then like Chibomato music plays and it's like the vines start to grow over everything and then like some flowers start to bloom and now there's like birds and
oh my god, is this season totally
oh my god,
like...
and then, that bleeds straight into Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk is now like
technology future.
coming into it and the transition from life and like living things into a technological world.
This season is about the age of Aquarius.
It's all death and rebirth.
Now I'm going to be thinking of that for the rest of my picks for the rest of the season, probably.
Yeah, where do we go next? We have to go to outer space. You have to do a space
I haven't
next.
even. But yeah, the first Kraftwerk album I thought was kind of like that vibe that you mentioned about Cheapo Motto.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Are you ready to get into Kraftwerk?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Whew. I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but like Kraftwerk rules, man.
Yeah,
This
totally.
was really fun. I had it rules in a very specific way.
Yeah,
It would be if you're not in the mood for it, you wouldn't enjoy it. But pretty much every time that I sat down to listen to it, I really had a good time, and I listened
me
to it in a
too.
lot of different settings.
Yeah, it almost once you start it, it puts you in that mood. You
Yeah.
know.
So my first, okay. So they were formed in 1970 in Dusseldorf, Germany. I guess the earlier ones were the more like krautrock albums, but eventually just turned into like electronic and synth pop.
Yes. So see, I did not know what krautrock was. Like I'd heard that term before,
Hmm.
but watching the documentaries that I watched for this, apparently Kraftwerk and another band that I love were like two of the first krautrock. Like they basically started the krautrock thing, like
Who was the
a
other
few
band?
bands, and they're two of them. Can
Okay. See, I saw Can in the documentary, but I had never
and the
listened to
other
them
one was
before.
Tangerine Dream, I
Tangerine
think.
Dream rules. They did a bunch of movie soundtracks.
Yeah, so Can, Tangerine Dream, and Kraftwerk all basically created krautrock. They were like the beginnings of it or whatever.
After this, look up the soundtrack for the movie Thief. It's a movie with James Caan, directed by Michael Mann. The movie is awesome, but Tangerine Dream did the soundtrack. Maybe just watch the movie because it rules. It's awesome. It's been on my list of like I am looking for that album every time I go anywhere. I guess I knew Tangerine Dream a little bit more, but I didn't know that they were connected with Kraftwerk or Krautrock.
Yeah, I didn't know Can was either. I didn't even know Can was from fucking Germany.
Well, there you go. So that's pretty much all I knew about Kraftwerk because they were attached to this genre and that they were from Germany. And I think there's some version that like the only German band or like when I hear German band, the very first and like kind of only band that comes to mind for me
Is Franz Ferdinand.
is Rammstein
Okay, yeah,
from
sure.
high school because my older brother was really into them and they were a big deal at my junior high school years, and what they are like it's the industrial heavy like dark weird,
Metally.
yeah, kind of metal stuff. So in my head that was like that's what German music is
Mm,
like flamethrowers and
okay.
like
Yeah.
leather and darkness. And
Hmm.
so I had this idea of Kraftwerk. I really expected them to be this like dark heavy industrial, and I knew it was electronic, but I was really expecting like heavy electronics, like really deep dark kind of sounds,
I think I was maybe expecting a little bit darker stuff too.
like more industrial than dance pop.
Yeah, this was way fruitier for sure.
Well, so I had that idea, and I went to the first album I listened to was on Tidal, and the first album on Tidal is Autobahn. And so I put my headphones on, and I'm like doing stuff around the house,
You're
like
like, what the
doing
fuck is
housework
this?
or whatever. I put it on, and Autobahn starts with like an old timey, like the little
Like a
car
video game
motor
music.
start, and then it's like ding 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 ding, and it's like this little cute melody, and then it's like 20 minutes long, and it has the little bon 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 da Autobahn, and it's like it's like a little bop, and it was basically the complete opposite end of the like emotional
Like
spectrum
vibe.
from
Yeah,
what
totally.
had anticipated. And by the end of Autobahn, after 22 minutes of listening to, because it's really repetitive, it's really monotonous, it's got the same rhythm kind of through the whole thing, and it's supposed to reflect like driving down the highway. You kind of get road hypnosis, and you can kind of zone out, and you're just having and I was enjoying myself so much listening to it, just like puttering around the house, just like,
Totally. See, it makes me feel like I'm playing like a car racing game.
yes, I felt like I was in like like a fun little cute, old retro video
Yeah.
game thing where it's like nothing
Totally.
bad can happen to me. I don't know. It
Yeah,
was a really
exactly.
fun
Totally.
a
Well,
jaunt.
and it's like fun, fun, fun after Autobahn, which means drive, drive, drive on the Autobahn.
Oh, see, I thought it was like
But
fun, fun, fun on the
it
Autobahn.
sounds like fun, fun, fun.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people in a bunch of documentaries said that they did that on purpose because one of the guys is like a big fan of the Beach Boys, and they
Uh-huh.
were kind of doing a play on like America,
Yeah.
beaches, fun, fun, fun. In Germany, what do they have? They have the Autobahn,
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
So they were kind of doing like a play on words, supposedly. I did read one article that said that was a lie, but all the fucking documentaries talked about it. And I gotta say, I watched too many documentaries, and I would way rather listen to Kraftwerk than watch a documentary about them.
I think if you're gonna watch something, watching their live, any live set, I watched a bunch
Exactly.
of live stuff from the '80s when they
Those
were
movements
being
were
the
sick as
when
fuck.
they were pretending to be robots, and they kind of
So
looked like
sick,
mannequin
right?
people while they were playing.
Mhm.
So cool.
Yeah. That's right up my alley. Very Devo.
Yeah, Devo, like very much performance art married
Mhm,
with
mhm.
music, like message and theme and image all blends together. Like in
They
order of
play it like
importance,
art
they kind of
galleries and shit.
overlap. Yeah,
Yeah,
they are basically a living art project, like
exactly.
so really
And then
cool.
they
But
ended up passing it off to robots and eventually, but
so I listened to Autobahn first, and then was like, all right, I'll start, doing some research or whatever. Well, come to find out, that's actually their fourth album. And so I went from Autobahn and the two self-titled and Rolf and Florian are on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I'll go back to the beginning and listen to those, and they were
very different.
wildly different, almost all instrumental,
Mhm.
a lot more like experimental,
Mhm.
a lot less electronic. Like there were those live, flutes and live instruments, more traditional instruments that we were talking about earlier. I'm really glad that I listened to it in that order. I think that if I had
Interesting.
just
Okay.
got in with the self-titled, it would have been I would have, I don't know, I was primed to love them after Autobahn. I loved the Autobahn album. And so I was already
Interesting.
like, I'm
Okay.
in and willing to accept whatever they did.
You don't think you would have liked the first shit as much?
It wouldn't have grabbed me like if they had already earned the leeway to be experimental with me by the time I listened to it. I think if I had listened to that first, it would have been like, what do you guys like? Come on, right? Like, give me some songs here. Or, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, basically the first two albums were like fully ass experimental,
Yes.
just chilling in a studio making sounds, basically.
There are some really, really great moments on those two albums where it like finally hits the groove a little bit.
Oh, it got so groovy on the
Ugh.
end of the first song. You're like,
Yes.
it's like really fluting, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Fluting it
Dum,
up.
dun, 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 dun. Where it's like a percussion, like when flute gets all, I don't know. I don't know the flute words, but
So I'm glad that I listened to it in that order because I really like the self-titled stuff, and I think the transition, when you're tuning a instrument and it's kind of like
mm-hmm,
winding up
mm-hmm.
to the right sound. Those three albums are like the band getting in tune, and then they finally hit the note in Autobahn.
Oh, totally, totally. At Audubon, they fucking take off, which that's the perfect theme for the album because that's when they take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those are all kind of ramping up or like leading up to that. And none of them are bad, but they're not like I think there's a reason they're not in what Kraftwerk considers their main body of work. Like they don't re-release those albums. They're not recognized as like Kraftwerk albums. Basically the band says Autobahn is our first albums. Those were kind of like practice albums for them.
Well, and they're like the type of band that looks to the future and doesn't want to look to the past kind of a thing, which is interesting because their whole theme in the beginning was sort of based on the past, but also trying to innovate
Hmm.
the vibe of Germans or whatever. Like I don't know how much shit you watch documentary wise, but there was a lot of interesting shit about like why they decided to dress the way they did. And like it was funny because they talked a lot in a lot of the documentaries and a bunch of articles and shit that I read. They were talking about how feminine they were and like androgynous and stuff. And it's
Hmm.
so fucking funny because as a queer, you'd think that'd be like the first thing that I picked up on, but it totally wasn't. In my mind, I guess maybe because I feel like genderless about myself and I feel like a space alien, in my mind, I kind of just was seeing them as like space aliens and wasn't really thinking about, I guess I kind of was seeing them as robots in a way.
Yeah, I always had the mental image of like mannequins more than
Yeah.
robots, where they're kind of like the
Well, yeah,
form
because
of
the robots
people,
didn't really exist yet.
but they don't have the inner workings of the people. I think, I think another thing that's coloring my expectation of them, along with like the Rammstein stuff, is H.R. Geiger, the dude that designed all the alien imagery. I think like that's melded in with like what I expect German artwork to
Interesting.
be.
Oh, huh. Okay.
I view them more as like not androgynous, but like asexual.
That's me too, which led me to believe that, or to not even really think about their gender or sexuality.
Right.
I just
Yes.
didn't even ever think about that for some reason. And usually queerness is like the first thing I pick up on. But that was like a lot in a lot of the documentaries. They talked a lot about that. And it turns out a lot of people think that they were actually together.
Yeah. Ralph and Florian
Yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of stuff about that.
Well, they wore a lot of makeup in their stage shows and stuff, like which was meant to make them look like pale and like painted on faces, you know, like I think they did a lot to make themselves appear not
Well, in a
inhuman, but
lot,
like non-human.
it's so funny because so the idea of Kraftwerk that I had, like I only knew like maybe 3 of their songs and they were all the later albums and it was just
Hmm.
techno vibes, whatever. And in my mind I had like a positive idea of them, but I didn't really know. I knew the imagery and I knew a few songs and that was it. And when I listened to the first album, I was like, this is fucking beautiful. Like I love the atmospheric almost background music of a massage or something was a lot of it, but then it also switched to really intense annoying noise on certain parts of it too. So it was like kind of like it went from really ethereal sounding shit to like headache inducing shit, which was obviously not my favorite, but I could see what they were doing there. I listened to them in the proper order,
Uh-huh.
and to me that was cool to see them progress because that was the whole vibe of this podcast for me initially was like seeing the progression or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. If had I known ahead of time, I would have done it that way. It just
Sure.
like I think worked out well for me this time.
Yeah, yeah. But I liked seeing their progression because they started off so experimental and so fucking weird. And it was cool to see what that ended up as. And it was also really cool because in all the documentaries and stuff, they were talking about how like none of this tech even fucking existed. They literally created a lot of the fucking shit that exists now, as far as synthesizer type shit or whatever, like the little drum thing that the guy made. He took apart something in like some technology and made these little tin circles, and the drumsticks that he was holding were like metal wands that once they connected to the metal it did the sound or whatever.
Yeah, like
I'm not
close the
describing this
circuit.
well because I don't understand technology. Yeah, I don't remember all the words they were using to describe this shit, but it was really interesting all the shit that they invented. So I don't know, some of the shit at the end though of the first album got so fucking groovy, and then the second one was really funky, fluty, groovy shit.
The fact that they're both self-titled, like I think those two pair really well together.
Totally, totally. I read or saw in a documentary or something that there was some re-release of the first two together on something, and that would be fun to listening to all in one. Because I think are the albums only like 30 minutes each or something?
Yeah, they're not super long.
And they only have like 4 songs each or whatever because each song's like super long.
Yeah, I really like instrumental music. Like, I just enjoy
Me
Explosions
too.
in the Sky and
Mhm.
Godspeed You Black Emperor. Like, I like a long instrumental track. I
Me
like a
too.
repetitive. I don't necessarily like, or I've never thought myself as someone who likes techno or like
Mm,
electro
mm,
dance stuff.
yeah.
After giving this a listen, maybe I should explore that.
Well, it's kind of like the Spice Girls energy that like gets me going. Like something about a certain beat will really
Yeah,
get you going sometimes. And a lot of techno is really annoying and really repetitive, but their shit is so unique, I guess. And I think because their backgrounds of like being able to play classical type instruments, so they don't do a ton of interviews or anything, but I did watch as much as I could find of them actually talking about this stuff. And they basically said they weren't very good at playing those instruments in the first place, which I thought was interesting. Because in my mind, when I saw the image of them, I was like, I bet you these guys are like legit classical musicians. That's what they kind of look like because they look nerdy or whatever.
yeah.
But apparently they started dressing like that. Oh, this is what I was going to say earlier. So one of the things that I found very interesting and surprising was they're goofing on people a lot. I was like super surprised at how much they are not being serious a lot of the time. It comes off as, or it could come off as they're being serious, but it's actually a goof a lot of the time, which I thought was really a cool layer to see. I was working through some internal biases I have against German vibes, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
throughout this. So this was definitely an interesting like exercise for me all around because like when I was first watching documentaries, like I watched 2 BBC documentaries that were so fucking boring. They were like some of the most boring documentaries I've ever fucking watched, dude. And it's like I feel like the BBC is usually really good at stuff, but I guess I have seen some BBC shit that's like so monotone and boring. But like that's sort of the vibe with Germany that is sort of my overall vibe of them is like monotone. You know what I mean?
Like dry and direct.
Yes. And so when I did get to see them, like, laugh every now and then, I was like, "Oh, I love this," you know?
The
So,
facade
yeah,
is
it's interesting.
cracking.
Yeah, it's funny just because I'm so, like, the absolute fucking opposite of that vibe that
Yeah,
I just don't
you're
super
yelling at
jive
random
with that.
strangers in a pink
Yes,
flamingo
in a
covered
public
bathroom.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had the audacity to put that shit in there. They
Yeah.
started
Yeah,
it.
I'm just saying there's not much of a barrier between
No,
the inside and
no.
the outside. You talk about
Yeah.
the BBC documentaries. I watched one and I think I was playing a game or
One
something.
was
Had a
3 hours
I
long.
watched one that was about an hour long, and I was playing a game, and it was on the other monitor, so I was kind of loosely checking in back and forth. I'm playing my game, and the documentary's going, and it's interviewing people about like their influence, and it had an interesting piece about the musicians in Detroit
Mhm,
taking
mhm.
it and using it as influence to create like the Detroit techno, I guess. Which for me, I didn't know that Detroit and techno were really connected together, so I was like, oh, there's an
Hmm,
interesting
fun.
pathway that's opened up. So that may be something I look into after this. But the documentary's playing, I'm playing my game, and it cuts to the interview with the guy that was the drummer, I think, Wolfgang Fleur,
Mhm.
and
He
he's
does the
talking,
most
and I'm
interviews.
playing my game, and he's talking, and I'm playing my game, and he's still talking, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like this guy. This has been like it's not a segment. Like this is like a huge chunk of the interview. What has that? And the documentary was over. It just auto played some random 45-minute interview with him, and I made it like halfway through before I realized that it had been him talking for like 25 minutes straight. And I was like, man, they really gave this guy some serious airtime in this documentary.
Okay,
But
well, the fact
because it
that it
was
was, like,
so
a
like
mistake.
monotone through the whole
Yeah.
thing, when it switched to just a straight up interview, I didn't really even notice.
Exactly. That's how the whole goddamn thing was. Like, even in the actual documentaries, there were long chunks of one guy, like, talking so slowly and so in such a monotone way that is just so hard for me to stay engaged with, you know? Even if I'm interested in what they have to say, it's like, give me some fucking energy, give me some inflection, like, give me fucking something, give me a fucking facial expression. Like, I don't know how you feel about what you're saying because you're so blank, you know? So robotic. And that's sort of what Kraftwerk was sort of playing with there with the suits and the look that they chose. They chose that on purpose because that was like the image people have of like Germans or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was they did some really interesting stuff that I was surprised by. Like, it was cool to learn those layers of like humor that they had about the whole thing.
Well, and what was interesting for me, with electronic music, I just always imagine it as like press a button on a computer and the sound happens, like it's I have preconceived judgments about it. And so watching them live actually play the synths and use their little drum pad machine. And there's the song, the Pocket Computer song. Well, they play that live and he has the little calculator
Watching them
thing.
live is so fucking cool.
Yeah, and you can tell they're having fun because they'll be kind of grooving and he'll
I'm
like
the
hold his finger
operator
up.
with my pocket
Yeah,
calculator.
and then
He
he'll
was
hit the
letting people in the
button.
audience. He was
Yes,
letting people in
yeah.
the audience push
Yeah, and
it.
so like
Yeah.
it was so much more than just
It's fucking avant-garde.
you think of a DJ set where they just have their laptop plugged in and just press play and the set plays or whatever.
No, this
It
is a
wasn't
show.
that. They were
Yeah.
performing
Yeah.
and it was a show and it had a very tight aesthetic look and idea behind and all their tours changed to like reflect what the new because I think their albums they're not I wouldn't say they're concept albums necessarily, but
No,
there
they are.
is a theme, there is a like a feeling behind
They
each.
they said that they were concept albums. They were kind of playing off of how like Americans were so like out there and boisterous and blue jeans and how they danced on stage at rock shows and stuff like that. They were kind of trying to do the opposite as a some kind of commentary or something. They're straight up an art, an installation, an exhibit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they toured museums. Like I think they play in museums and stuff like that,
Yeah, they
which
do.
is I would love to see them live now.
They're still fucking doing.
Their live show now is all you wear like 3D glasses and they project things on a big screen and
Well, because
they
they're
play at their
progressing as
little synth.
technology progresses, which is cool. But another thing I thought was super cool about their messaging is from the very fucking beginning before this was even thought of, they're some of the first people that were like, hey, this is going to be bad. Like the data collection and all the shit, like a lot of their lyrical content is about that type of shit. And they're so right. They were so
It's
painfully
funny
correct.
because they are pro technology, like they were
Yeah,
cutting edge of technology for the 70s, I think. I think in the 80s it kind of caught up to them a little bit,
sure.
but for those like the latter half of the 70s, they were on the cutting edge of technology and music and like meshing those things together. Even though they played all analog stuff, they were playing new instruments and using things in new ways and that sort of thing. But they did have that bend of like, don't forget your humanity when you get involved with
Yes.
all this technology. And I think just hearing it, you think like, oh, they're all about they are the robots, they are technology, but they did have that piece of don't lose yourself.
In one of the interviews, I'm pretty sure it was the Wolfgang guy that was saying that he feels that Man Machine is so very human of an album, and like that a lot of techno these days is not very human. It's very electronic and robotic and not human. And it's so funny that they were doing the robot thing, the shtick, the joke, the
Yes.
performance of it. But in reality, they're like, no, this is very human, and we are human, and like, but then they like ended up using the robots as them for a while.
And you can hear it in their songs. Like
Mhm.
their synths communicate with each other. There's not a ton of lyrical
Yes.
content in there.
It feels very organic.
Yeah, but you can hear like this guy will play a little thing and then this guy will do a little, response to it
Hmm, hmm.
or version of it. And it's a really interesting.
Well, they like improv and vibe a lot.
It's almost like classical, where like the strings will talk to
Totally.
the woodwinds and they kind of have their little motifs and they communicate with each other and I thought that was really interesting too in a very organic way versus it just being like drum bass repetitive over and over and over again.
Totally. There was no fucking formula here, which it was very jazz, which I enjoyed.
Talking about themes, Autobahn, yeah, clearly the theme is like the car stuff, the highway, the road sounds, all that sort of thing. Radioactivity, their second album, I thought it was
Well,
interesting.
that's not their second album, I
Well, okay,
guess.
sorry, their second main line album, fifth album.
Another thing about their second album, another note that I had on their second album, their actual second album, was this is if David Lynch was a sound.
I could definitely see that. I heard a lot of the like the Twin Peaks music.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a lot of very Laurie Anderson. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Look that up later. It's very that vibe.
John Carpenter. John Carpenter's
Oh
music
yeah,
it has
totally.
a
And just
huge debt
sci-fi shit.
to Kraftwerk for sure.
A lot of the shit that was on the documentaries was about sci-fi and how like this had a big like sci-fi and this was like all intermeshed, like
Hmm.
the music of sci-fi soundtracks and shit like that. And it was fun because, I'm doing this Rocky Horror photo project. In one of the documentaries it said Forbidden Planet was the first movie with a fully electronic soundtrack,
Oh, that's
which I
cool.
thought was interesting. And that like really inspired them, I guess. Do you have any notes on the art Ralph and Florian?
It was the first time they used on Ralph and Florian was the first time they used the vocoder, the little robot voice thing that made its debut on Ralph and Florian. I think that was a transition from the organic instruments to I don't know. They're still analog instruments, like they're still playing the keys. It's not a digital instrument, but it's the like synthesized robotic sound.
But then part like towards the end it kind of morphed into Snoopy music,
Oh.
like the piano, the Snoopy. It started out super aggressive, high pitched noise, which I really hated. I didn't like this one as much. Out of the first three, it was my least favorite.
Of the first three, it was yeah, I definitely think the same. My least favorite. It's interesting as an artifact of that transition from the like flute stuff to what Autobahn because I think every album they got more polished and more pop and I think Rolf and Florian was like the we're leaving the experimental world and entering the kind of the pop world. Even though their lead single is a 25-minute song that was cut down to a 3.5-minute single, I still think they had experimental traits throughout all of their
Oh, for
albums,
sure, for
but I
sure.
also think they were really conscious and aware and like really tried to make pop music at the same time.
Yeah. Well, they liked the Beach Boys and the Beatles. They get compared to the Beatles all the fucking time, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I see it as a like they changed what people thought music could be and what music could do in a similar way. Not that they sound similar to each other, but
No.
they opened.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like the most influential bands. But apparently they were huge fans of the Beatles and kind
Yeah.
of tried to incorporate some Beatley shit in there. I watched so many, like multiple documentaries about comparing them to the fucking Beatles. I thought Om Sweet Om was funny.
Is that the name of an album or
No, it's the name of the last song on Radioactivity,
okay.
the second or however many album.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess we should call it the 1975. It's the fifth album, the fifth real album. I liked that it was hyphenated because it was like again talking about the theme. I think the theme of this one is like half of them are about like the sci-fi radioactivity idea, and then half of the songs are about like the literal activity on the radio, like what is happening on the
Yeah.
radio, what songs are being played, and that sort of thing. And I thought that was a really
And
fun,
that's literally what they were doing. Yeah, they're so funny and
yeah.
clever. Like they were way funnier than I expected just from looking at the photo.
Like yeah, more like whimsical and lighthearted
Yes.
and stuff. That's what I said. I expected like kind of a dark, serious thing, and I got this kind of like not goofy. I think they are a serious band. I don't think they're like a joke band, but it was like kind of whimsical and happy and pleasant
hmm
music
Yeah.
versus
Some of it even sounded like it would be on like Reading Rainbow or some shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it gave like very 80s, I don't know, kids TV energy
yeah,
in certain parts. Radioactivity is such a good song too.
yeah. And the ones that do get stuck in your head, they get stuck in there for sure.
Radioactivity. The key changes on it. Oh, so good. And it's so simple. And like so many of their songs are so repetitive. It's just like saying one word over and over type of shit mostly.
Yeah.
Honestly, Trans Europe Express was a little too repetitive for me. But most of the other ones I was like fucking down, dude. I'll say radioactivity 500 times in a row if this
Well,
jam.
but they also they switch between English and German. You know, they'll do a verse in English and a verse in German. Some of the albums were recorded in both languages. Like they released the English version in the U.S. and UK and released the German version.
They even did other languages too. And when there's only a few words in each of your songs,
Yeah,
it's
not
not that
hard.
hard to translate.
Yeah,
Learn
good
a few
idea.
words in another language, no problem. Apparently, I think it was maybe Japanese or something they translated to that everyone like over there lost their shit and were like so into it.
Yeah,
I could be
I can
wrong about that,
imagine
but yeah.
because they like in Japan will go crazy for bands that only sing in English. You know, and will just learn the English songs
Yeah, totally,
phonetically.
totally. Well, that's what a lot of people are doing these days with like K-pop and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a
K-pop is so
similar.
fucking huge, dude.
Is Man Machine the red and black album? The one
Yes.
that looks like the old Soviet posters?
Yes. And that was a lot of shit they were playing off too.
That to me is peak Kraftwerk. Like I think Autobahn is my favorite album. I think Man Machine is the most Kraftwerk album. Like for what they were going for, I think this one really hit the nail as much on the head as possible.
And it was peak like robot shit. The
Yeah.
visuals, man. And they were really getting sci-fi, like all the like the movie Metropolis was a big inspiration for it. There's a song called Metropolis. Have you seen that movie? It's like one of my favorite old sci-fi movies.
I don't think that I ever have seen it all the way through,
Please
which
watch that.
but that's got the robots, which like if
hmm
there was a
We are the robots.
between starting with the robots and ending with the man machine, if there is a manifesto of Kraftwerk, it's like it's those two tracks on this
Yeah,
album.
totally.
I think everything about this album takes everything they were doing and does like the best version of it.
Totally, because the neon lights is like kind of magical sounding. Blip, 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 little sounds. It was parts of it were too high pitched for me, but it still sounds kind of magical and fun. It sounds like you're driving at night. It's pretty cool. Well, I have a different favorite that we haven't gotten to yet. So,
Was it Computer World
uh-huh.
or Techno Pop?
It was techno pop.
Interesting.
It was weird because when we first started out, right, I was like, I'm loving this, like the mystical, magical, atmospheric sounds. And I loved all the flute shit. I loved the instrumental shit. I thought it was so good. And then when it started getting more techno, I was worried that I wasn't going to like it, especially with the Rolf and Florian album. They were kind of getting a little annoying there for a second.
Yeah.
Um, with their experimentation, especially because my ears are sensitive to like high pitched sounds and they do a lot of like beeping and high pitched things that are not my vibe. But yeah, then when they got into their better techno shit like Audubon and Further, I thought it just kept getting better. I thought
Yeah.
each album was better than the last, and I was just jazzed beyond jazzed each time. Like I was really surprised and impressed and stoked that you chose this.
They do evolve. Like each album is its own thing, I
Totally.
think. It's not like a genre hop thing. They are still playing the same types of music, but you can tell they're making tweaks and trying new things and bringing in different elements and influences.
And it's actually so super cool to see these guys that came from the beginnings of this technology, right? The very fucking beginnings before it even was really a thing. And they're growing with all of it. And it's just so interesting to see as like an art concept and just the whole fucking thing, their whole career. Like, honestly, out of all the bands we've done, this is probably the one that I would say listen to all of them and observe
Yeah.
how things have changed over time technologically, because this is it's just really in line with that shit and just super interesting. I wish that Florian didn't die and that they were still together, the two.
Well, he quit playing with them in 2006. Like, and they didn't do a lot of new music.
I know there was some sad shit, and I read some articles about like breakup vibes, like sad. They were really sad, and oh man, there's some sad shit there. I almost wish that we could have turned both of them into robots and then just let them keep going with observing and making music out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're taking the world in and they're communicating what they see to us with this art, and it's really cool. It's really fucking cool and just so interesting. But yeah, Computer World was so fucking catchy.
Well, see, that's the one I thought was going to be your favorite because it to me sounds like all the background music of Spice Girls and like
Totally.
all the 2000s, the early 2000s pop stuff sounds like the music of Computer World. It was the most like this is just straight up pop
They
music.
were fucking ahead of their time.
And I felt like this sound from Computer World, which was released in 1981, was used over and over and over again for
Uh-huh.
the next 30 years as like
Totally.
the underlying sound of pop music. I made a note that said like this just needs Britney Spears singing on top of it. That's what the music sounds like to
Right.
me.
I love that. There were so many catchy songs. I'm the operator with my pocket calculator. I was cracking up at that. Blink, blink, blink. It's like all these cute little robot sounds. Computer Love was very magical. It was like giving Death Cab Postal Service.
Yeah, I would give Postal. It has the LCD sound system song that was pulled from the Kraftwerk song Home Computer. That's the
That song's really funny too. I program my own computer, beam myself into the future.
which I know the LCD sound system song. And so when I'm bopping along and listening to Kraftwerk, I heard that and I was like, whoa, that's where that I didn't
Yeah,
know.
so many bands sample
I
them.
didn't know that's what this band sounded like. I never would have guessed that
Right?
that sound came from this band because that's not what they sounded like
And
in my
so many
head.
like George Clintons and funk musicians are like, this is funk.
Yeah.
You know this is funk, right?
Yeah.
Like they're so funky and groovy. Funkadelic, if you
Yeah,
will.
there's a really big funk connection, which I think bleeds into the techno connection too, of
Totally.
like dance and groove.
And sort of disco was kind of morphing into
Yeah,
that around that time too.
which is funny because they're not like I think they were played in like dance clubs as
Hmm.
like dance music
Yep.
and not
It's
that's
really
not
danceable.
it is, but that's again not
Not
where I
what you
thought we were going,
expected.
not what
Yeah,
I thought I was going to
totally.
be listening to. And even if I
Totally.
had listened to it without knowing that, not what I would say was dance music. But then listening to it with that idea, it's like, yeah, I could hear this being in a club with the bass and the, you can hear the four on the floor and stuff. It makes sense that that's what it is, even though that's not really what it is.
And then it bleeds into the new romantic 80s synthy, almost gothy shit that I love so much, like my fucking favorite 80s music. This shit
Turned into
is like
that.
inspired that. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's so cool and interesting. This was such a cool one to like unlock all where a lot of shit came from. It was really, this was a great pick, man.
Thanks. I'm glad it turned out this way because really came in blind without knowing what it was
I
going
know
to
you do
be,
that
and
all the
it could have
time, and
been, yeah,
sometimes it's just
yes,
shit.
not always great. So it's nice that we got one that we both really
Yeah, no,
enjoyed.
this was so, I was really grooving on this.
So the biggest knock is that in the 70s, they're cutting edge. They're kind of the forefront of music. I think they got so popular and were so influential that by the time like Computer World and Technopop came out,
Hmm.
music had kind of caught up with them. And
Hmm.
the bands that were influenced by them, they were the cutting edge now. So they kind of felt like they were a little more behind the curve by that point, just sonically. They were so different when they came out that by the time the later albums, like Technopop was 1986. So there was a lot of of bands that had used their sound as kind of the blueprint, but they
Exactly.
didn't sound cutting edge anymore. They kind of just sounded more like what everybody else was
But
doing.
still they were. It was just the people were getting inspired by them.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they were like more in the mix with everybody else versus being ahead
Totally, because
of.
Technopop, which was I think my favorite album, it got me right away. It was like so catchy, the lyrics, it was 80s sounding. It was almost like Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer energy. Like they were getting more tech as tech advanced. You could tell even in this, like the technology's changing and it's more almost like smoother or something. House phone, I felt like I was in a German club. Sex object was so sick. It was like sort of industrial but classical.
We need to do a playlist of bands that use the telephone as a metaphor in
Yes,
songs that are no longer appropriate because I feel like this one with the replacements answering
totally.
machine,
Fucking
where it's
totally.
like it was such a part of everyone's life for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time and then immediately, or not immediately, but like has since become irrelevant.
But if you think about the cell phone, it's really not irrelevant. And same with pocket calculator. That's kind of what is happening with the phone now. It's your pocket calculator now. You know what I mean? Like all
Yeah.
you have to do is kind of morph your mind a little bit to adapt it to the new technology and it's still totally fucking relevant. It almost seems like there shouldn't be enough lyrics to even have a fucking message, but it totally fucking does.
Right.
It's like really deep ass hard hitting messages too. I was really surprised by this band.
The music communicates in a way that the
That too.
lyrics aren't even, not that they're not necessary, but like you can get the feeling of the message from the music by itself. Like the music communicates a lot. That's why listening to it in German is like, I don't really need to know what he's saying because I get
Totally.
what he's saying, you
Totally.
know?
It's the vibes, man.
Yeah.
Totally. This band really went some places. I was really jazzed.
After 86, after tech, oh, guess which album was my least favorite?
Tour de France.
No, Technopop.
Oh.
Technopop was my least
Oh,
favorite.
really?
Yeah, it's like you
Because
said,
you
it
don't
sounds
like
like
that
all those
synthy
80s
80s
bands,
shit.
and it's like, yeah, that's
See, I
why.
love that shit and you hate that shit. So yeah, that checks out.
I don't hate it.
Even
It
the
just
album cover was very like 80s gothy techno vibes. Like it was black and had the white faces or whatever.
Did you listen to the mix, which they did in 1991?
I did. I listened to all of it.
I liked that because they basically re-recorded all their singles and did
Hmm.
it with the new lineup and the new instruments. And I don't think it replaces any of the other things that they did, but I think it was interesting to hear it kind of redone rather than just taking the songs and putting them on an album to actually redo them and
Yeah.
hear a new version of it. I thought was really interesting.
The live albums were both really good too.
Which again to me is the that gives the heart to the synth sound, you know, like hearing it live and the fact that it sounds different live than it does recorded really shows that
Totally.
like there are humans playing this robot music,
Hmm.
you know, which is I think part of their idea. Tour de France is it's the one that's like, yeah, you don't really need it,
I
you
pretended
know.
I was on a bike a lot of it. I was literally right here going,
They apparently got like really into cycling and that became their they would
yeah, I think
cycle,
Florian was obsessed with bikes.
which makes like that is a
And they were like
machine.
obsessed with the titanium or aluminum. And they were, dude, in some of the interviews, he went on and on about these metals.
Oh my God, I'm yes. There's probably a reason they didn't do a ton of interviews. Like,
They said they didn't want to. They wanted to
no, I
be.
know.
They were kind of sort of the one of the first bands that was doing like the Daft Punk Gorillas thing of like not showing faces.
Well, yeah, all their like they had their photographer that worked with them for years, and they wouldn't pose for pictures with him. They would set up mannequins in their positions on stage, or they used stand-ins or things to represent them versus actually having their photos taken. Which again, that goes back to the whole what's real, what isn't, and making it like an art piece.
Yes, exactly. Their whole band is an art piece, and the whole discography is a part of it.
It was interesting to me because okay, so it's like 1986 is Technopop. Tour de France is their most recent album, came out in 2003. It's based on a single that they released in the 80s that they like expanded into a full release, but that was 2003 and they haven't released any new music since then. Florian stopped playing with them in 2006, officially retired in like 2012 or something, which you would think means this band is done. Like they're not active anymore. But that is not the case. They have remained active in like touring and they've re-released a box set of their albums,
I read a little bit of drama about that.
such as
Apparently, Rolf, I guess, was rich. And that's how they started being able to do any of this because he had enough money to buy like this super expensive ass equipment. Because back in the
mhm.
day, like all the synthesizer parts and shit were like hella
Yeah,
expensive.
you're basically building a spaceship.
Yeah, so one of the other guys, Wolfgang, I think.
Pause for drama verification.
Right. I put the article in the Discord. Yeah, there's like Kraftwerk music as the like waiting sounds.
Yeah, it is kind of. It's like space station waiting room music.
Yeah, Wolfgang. Okay. Rolf left for most of 1971.
Uh huh.
He had a quasi romantic relationship with Florian that had cooled, is what this says in his own words. And basically, one guy was saying one of the other guys is the one that has the money, so he's the one that owns Kraftwerk.
Oh well.
And pretty much the whole relationship with the whole band from the beginning was these two main guys
Yeah.
started it. And kind of like when we were talking about Iron Maiden, basically all the other people who played with them, it was like an independent contractor type of energy almost.
Hmm.
And apparently they were fucking those guys over financially and also credit and everything. Basically, those guys, they would come in and take their labor and their artistic ideas and stuff, and but then not let them make decisions and not let them, they weren't really a part of the band. And one guy was totally fucking cool with that. That's how he saw his role, as he just comes in, they tell him what to do, he does it, that's it.
That was the Wolfgang guy.
No, I don't think so. I think it was the other guy. The Wolfgang guy, I think, is the one talking shit.
Klaus.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the Wolfgang guy was the one saying that Hooter has the money, and so he gets to decide what the fuck Kraftwerk is, basically. And so I think that's why they're still continuing on, because he's the one that's still alive and he's the one that has the money or
Yeah.
whatever. That's the vibe that I was getting from the research that I did. I obviously don't know these people and don't know exact details, but
Well, and even like Florian quit in 2006, that's still 36 years into their career, you know? Like you put the work in, man. You want to quit doing it? I get it. You did
yeah.
your
So
time.
I watched, there was an interview where one of them almost started crying, talking about how he didn't know if they were still friends. So there was like a breakup situation
Yeah.
that went down. And then Wolfgang was saying that he ran into Florian and didn't know that that was the last time he was going to see him before he died,
Hmm.
and that it was like they had a kind of a nice conversation that was a good vibe at the end, which he was really grateful for because he had seen him prior. They run into each other at like a grocery store or something, and like he crossed the street and pretended he didn't know who he was,
Oh.
kind of a thing. So like there have been bad vibes
Yeah.
happening as far as like interpersonal shit here and there, apparently. Like all bands.
The only like the big thing that we haven't mentioned was during the 70s after Audubon came out, the mutual influence that he had with David Bowie, where David Bowie like basically told everybody they were his favorite band and
Hmm.
played the Audubon album before all of his shows when he was on the Station to Station tour.
And he kept trying to get them to collab with him and
Yeah.
shit.
And then he eventually, when he moved to Germany and did all the stuff in Berlin with like Iggy Pop and stuff, a large part of that was influenced by Kraftwerk being German and like wanting to get into that scene and that sound. And he like credited them with moving more towards electronic music and stuff. So I thought that was another you talk about them being the Beatles or whatever. When you're influencing an artist like David Bowie, who is the man behind the curtain for somebody that big, I think that's where a lot of that credit comes
Well,
from.
in a lot of huge bands, as it turns out, like so many huge bands, and even ones that you wouldn't think, like, that don't sound anything like fucking Kraftwerk.
To tie this back into Bowie, him doing the same thing with Tina Turner a decade later.
Yeah, totally. I was gonna say that too.
I mean, he didn't save Kraftwerk's career or anything, but he maybe
He's
boosted
just an
them.
influential character.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting that he's like, "Hey, everybody, listen to this band. Hey, everybody, check out this artist." You know,
And
and
two bands that you would think couldn't be more different.
yeah.
Humans are so multifaceted.
Well, and it's like use your influence if you have it. Like point people, raise people up with you, and put attention on people that are deserving of it.
Also, apparently, these guys were one of the first fucking people to do the robot. They
They like to
basically
dance.
invented the dance. Yes. They were like a
Well,
huge influence on hip hop.
they are the
And you know
robots.
what? Detroit kind of has like a, because they're big in the hip hop, Detroit, and
Sure.
apparently techno too. And they kind of have a Berlin vibe.
Like the Berlin of the US. Well, and
Maybe.
see, I think that Iggy Pop is from Detroit, right? And he's got all his Berlin albums, so
And I fucking love Iggy Pop, dude. I've never made that connection before, but that is so interesting.
I can see it in my brain. It makes sense. I can see them taking up the same space.
And Kraftwerk played in Detroit a lot. And when I was listening to it, I was like, this sounds super tribal, kind of Sufjan, and he's kind of from that way. And then I was like, this is very David Byrne's like energy. And then David Byrne covers one of their songs, and it's so sick. You have to fucking watch the video because he's doing the robot and he's looking just like them. He's got a girl on stage with a fucking theremin. It's super sick. I love this sci-fi sound shit too. So this whole thing was just so super fun. It was just a delight. I was so surprised.
Guess where Sufjan was born?
Detroit.
Detroit.
I can make connections without knowing, you know what I mean? Like
There's a theme there.
it
There's a
feels connected.
strand.
Yeah, totally. And I've been to Berlin, you know, so
Yeah, you're practically in Kraftwerk.
I wonder if our German homies will be listening to this episode. I wonder how they feel about Kraftwerk.
Is the German national anthem a Kraftwerk song?
It should fucking be.
Yeah, this band rules. I definitely think listening to any of their albums, it would be you'd have to have the appetite for the first three albums. You have to be like willing to let them or to like want to listen to experimental music. I think from Autobahn beyond, all of it's good.
I thought a lot of songs on the first two, which since they're only on YouTube, you can't skip songs
Yeah.
or whatever. But the YouTube videos did have like the timestamps of when the songs started and ended. So some of the songs on the first two albums are totally passive listening, totally chill to listen to. But like the album as a whole, yeah, it is very experimental. So,
Yeah.
but like a lot of the songs on the first two you could get a massage to.
Yeah, the time's up when the screeching starts.
Yeah, totally.
That's when it's time to roll over.
No, I really enjoyed putting them on and just listening to them, even though shit got crazy.
I listen to these doing housework. They're great to drive around and listen to. It's
Totally.
excellent driving music.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially the
couldn't do
later
better.
techno shit.
I also listened to them while I was like reading or even going to bed too, because it is monotonous in a way that just lets your brain like kind of drift off or like to
Totally.
like meld into it. It
Some of it was very meditative.
yeah.
It's a very soundtrack music. Like
Yes.
the first few albums is do stuff around the house. The next few albums is drive around at night. The next few albums is dance, like dance party time.
I like the instrumental stuff a little bit more than they get a little more lyric heavy later on in their career. I like the more instrumental stuff for that reason. Like it is easier to, I don't know, zone out's not the right word, but where you can kind of lose yourself in it, you know? It's easier for me to do that without the lyrics. I think this is going to be one. It kind of happened with Sly, where after we went through this with Sly, I saw the influence everywhere in every band.
Totally.
I think this one's going to be something that's kind of like that too.
This is big connective tissue shit for the whole chart.
The more pop you force me to listen to and the more like dance adjacent music, I think I'm gonna be like, okay, this I can hear the Kraftwerk.
Well, and it makes you hate that shit a little bit less when you can see like, okay, this is influenced by something actually good, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can recognize the good elements about the shit.
Part of what turns me off about that music is that like it has 65 different producers and everybody's doing like one little tiny, and it's not like the vision of an artist, which is what I like about music. This is the vision of the artist. Like this specifically is like these guys intentional product that they made. It wasn't like a bunch of people saying like, oh, this will sell, or oh, this, you know, this is the sound that kids love. They were like, what weird sounds can I make if I turn this knob? And then how can I make this sound like this? You know, so that appeals to me a lot. I don't know. I enjoyed this a lot.
It's got personality. That's the humanity thing you're talking about. Like, because a lot of pop music doesn't necessarily feel that human sometimes, you know? It's like so prescribed or whatever. And that's where the improv vibe comes in too with Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk, man, machine, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that wraps us up on Kraftwerk. For Wheel of Death, I liked learning how connected they were to techno as a genre. I think that is such a large word that it's almost like talk about like metal being broken into a million different subgenres. I think techno is like also like there are so many different little pieces and sub pieces and paths and things that they took. But for the Wheel of Death, I want to pick a band that is like techno at what I think is maybe the
at its worst.
Not necessarily its worst, but like its most commercial or successful and what might be the most punishing, but also had a huge cultural impact that had literally nothing to do with me. We're going to add Skrillex to the Wheel of Death. so we can get some
What do they
dubstep
call that? Is
in.
that dubstep?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we can if we get that, we can learn a little bit about dubstep and see if we can find the tie that binds Kraftwerk to Skrillex.
That checks out. That's a good one. That makes sense. Good choice.
I was trying to think because I thought of like really what I think is like Aphex Twins or
Oh yeah.
Fatboy Slim, stuff
They
like
can
that.
be
But
very
like,
annoying.
yeah, they could be, and that might, but like house music from the '90s. But we've done a ton of '90s stuff,
Hmm.
and I think Skrillex
Hmm.
has enough albums, and it's a little more recent, and there may be some avenues we haven't explored there. So yeah, we'll add Skrillex to our Wheel of Death.
Which so far we have Anne Murray, Crazy
I
Town, and
forgot about
Skrillex.
that.
Me too.
Ugh. Not a winner
Oh,
in
that's
the
good shit.
bunch.
Okay, you ready to hear the next band?
Yeah, let's do it.
So since we just did Kraftwerk and it was surprisingly related to funk, let's do fucking Parliament Funkadelic.
Hell yeah.
Do we add George Clinton into the mix or just Parliament Funkadelic? Because there's a lot of albums.
If it were me, I would do one or the other.
Let's do Parliament Funkadelic then.
Okay.
Funkadelic, baby.
I'm 100% down to listen to some more funk music. I have really come to love listening to funk, and so
It's
I'm
so good.
very down.
It's going to tie to Sly. It's going to tie to Kraftwerk. It's going to tie to a lot of shit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, George Clinton and Sly were like BFFs. You know, and Sly performed with them and opened, like they took him out on tour after, you know, he wasn't as popular anymore and stuff. So that'll be really cool. That will be really fun.
P-Funk, baby!
We're gonna have to do our let's do the next show in Parliament get-ups. Like let's put some
fuck yeah.
Parliament costumes
Done and
on.
done. Fucking
I
done
say
and
that because
done
I
because
know
we're
you
going to go
will
see
show up
them.
with I know you'll show up in full gear and I will not, but that'll be fun for me. Yeah, and going to see them live too, I think that'll be an awesome tie-in. So yeah, fully support that.
Thank you for listening to Retrospectrum. Follow us on social media at Retrospectrum Pod. Subscribe to our Patreon at Retrospectrum Pod. And if you like what we do, leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. Bye.